everyone, so as we're now in the middle term of the 3 Oxford terms and pretty much halfway through the academic year, I thought I'd talk a little bit about what it's like for me to have been living out so far this year. Although Oxford is really based around the collegiate system where you live and sleep and work and eat and socialise all in the same place, it is true that a lot of colleges have their students living out for 1 or 2 years of their degree. At Teddy Hall we live in for first year and then we live out in second year, and then after that we're back in a college accommodation so we can be nice and close to the library for finals. So this year is my second year and I am living out. I'm living just outside the centre of Oxford along Cowley Road, which is much less picturesque than the centre. There's far fewer beautiful buildings, but it's a lot more interesting in a way. There's a lot more independent food places, there's really great bars and pubs and stuff like that. There are amazing charity shops and a couple of vintage shops. So that's definitely one of the pros, but I thought I'd discuss the other pros and maybe some of the cons that I found about living outside of the centre and having to fend for myself for a year. I think one of the pros for me is that there's a lot more freedom this year. Last year I was always up for breakfast at 8:15 and I'd go down and then I'd walk to my lecture and I pretty much had the same routine. Now I don't have to wake up at that specific time. I can have a lie-in on some days. As I'm saying it, this doesn't seem so much like a pro, because what it's definitely meant is that I have missed lectures and slept in way later than I should have done and not worked hard enough in the mornings. But it is kind of nice to have the odd day, I would imagine, if that was what I was capable of doing. Another pro is that it kind of feels more grown up. Now this is kind of embarrassing to admit, but I honestly think one of the reasons I loved college life so much is because you are really coddled. You have food provided for you whenever you want it. You have a scout that comes in and cleans your bin and hoovers your floor, which is something I miss so much. You just sort of pay up front and don't have to worry about bills or anything like that. I really like being able to do things like host dinner parties and stuff like that, which you don't really have the space to do in college, so I am really enjoying that. On the negative side, it is a lot more expensive to live out. Although the price per week of some houses outside of the college system may be a lot cheaper than the price per week of living in college, when we did the sums we realised that that was completely irrelevant because you only live in college for 6 months a year and you have to pay a whole year's rent. So it is definitely more expensive, especially when you take into account things like heating and Wi-Fi and electricity bills. Also, you do kind of feel a little bit isolated at times. I think this is a really difficult thing to strike a balance with because Teddy Hall has the highest population density of any Oxford college, so you do feel a little bit like everyone's on top of you all at the same time, in a way. And in some ways that's really good because it can feel really cosy. You know that you have a friend a couple of seconds away to zip up your dress or lend you a hot water bottle or make you a cup of tea. But that can feel a bit stifling. Living out is the exact opposite. Although everyone in Teddy Hall does tend to live around the same area, you definitely feel less connected to other people. Though your housemates are great and you'll see them from time to time, but not having the prescribed dinner times even means that you rarely eat together. So unless you specifically allow time to meet up with people, you do feel a lot more on your own than you do when you're in a college environment. Overall, I think that I really enjoyed living out for the first term, but now I'm sort of getting sick of it. I'm getting more lazy and I want the heating back. I want to be able to leave my room for the tutorial 2 minutes before instead of 20. I don't know whether this video is really useful. Think of it less of like a how-to and more of a warning. I thought it might be an interesting thing for people who aren't here to hear about. When I was younger, it's just one of the things I presumed about Oxford is that they have these dormitories everywhere, like proper Harry Potter style, and it's sort of one of the things that makes it more realistic when you actually live here to discover that the students are normal students who have to do normal student things like walk all their laundry down to the laundrette and have drying racks everywhere and leave piles of washing up everywhere. This is like as far away from Harry Potter as you can get. If you have any questions about what it's like to live out, or really what it's like to live in college either, I'll be happy to reminisce. Please do leave them in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in 2 weeks' time.